I used to think of home as a safe haven, a place where you could exist without explanations, a place where, no matter how chaotic life became, there would always be someone there to welcome you back with warmth. But that comforting belief shattered the day my parents made a decision that made it clear I was never really part of the family they valued. It began after I finished college. The job search wasn't going well, and with my student loans looming, I had no choice but to move back in. I figured it would be temporary. I kept to myself, helped out, showed respect. But the atmosphere in that house? It was cold. Not because of the season, but because of how they treated me. Like I was just extra. Not a son. Not someone they cared about. Just another body in the way. Quick note. Subscribe to our channel and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. My sister Amanda, the golden child, moved back too. Not because she had to, but because she wanted her old bedroom back for her new purebred husky, Duchess. My mom adored that dog. Satin bedding, gourmet dog snacks, a wardrobe of tiny pink sweaters. Duchess got more affection in a week than I had in years. Then one night, my mom walked into my room, arms folded, and without even looking me in the eye, said, "You'll be fine in the garage, right? Duchess needs her space." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. But she was dead serious. She handed me an old blanket and told me to figure it out. By that evening, my childhood bedroom had become a luxury dog suite, complete with plush rugs and framed dog portraits. Meanwhile, my belongings were packed into plastic bins, and my mattress was dragged out to the cold, musty garage, lit by a flickering bulb and barely insulated. I tried to tough it out at first, told myself it was just for now, but with each passing day, I felt pieces of my dignity crumble. My dad never questioned the situation. Amanda would laugh whenever I came into the kitchen bleary-eyed from another cold night. "Maybe Duchess will let you borrow her room sometime," she'd snicker. "My mom?" she once said to a neighbor. "He's just crashing here till he figures things out." Amanda's the real success in our family. The final straw came on a bitter winter night. I was bundled in layers of old quilts when I overheard her on a speakerphone call. "He's always been the letdown. Amanda's the one with potential. Even that dog is more comforting than he's ever been." I didn't cry, didn't shout. I just laid there, numb, frozen on the outside and inside. And in that moment, something snapped. But not like glass. Like a chain. The kind that holds you back. Until it doesn't. The next morning, I woke up with a purpose I hadn't felt in years. I started applying for jobs like my life depended on it. I picked up a part-time gig at a local garage, then started delivering groceries on the side. I stayed in that garage for months, saving every cent. No takeout, no distractions. I buried myself in learning, marketing, real estate, side hustles, anything that could give me a way out. Soon enough, I was earning more in a single month than I used to in an entire quarter. I didn't say a word to my parents. I smiled through the silence, played the polite ghost in their house, all while quietly building something of my own, brick by invisible brick. Then one day, something landed in my inbox that would change everything. Their house, the same one I had been pushed out of, was up for sale. They hadn't said a word. I figured they were behind on the mortgage. Probably assumed I was still broke, still directionless. They had no idea what I'd become. But I had been waiting for this exact moment. That house had always been in my father's name. To him, it was more than property. It was leverage, a symbol of control, a reminder, spoken without words, that I didn't belong there. Not anymore. The listing came from a local agent I knew through a side gig. She mentioned they were showing it quietly off-market to avoid attention. I almost laughed out loud. Them? Avoiding attention? They lived for it. Every whispered brag about Amanda, every public jab at me. I told the agent to leave my name out of it. That's all she needed to know. My offer. All cash. No bank. No waiting. She stared stunned. I didn't blink. I was ready. Within a week, the deal closed. I became the legal owner of the house I was once shoved out of for a dog. No announcement. No champagne. No social media post. I waited. 2 weeks later, I walked up to the front door and knocked. My mother answered, visibly irritated, mascara smudged like she'd just come from crying or yelling. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. "Amanda's in the middle of Duchess's birthday shoot." I smiled. "I know. I brought a gift." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. Don't start with the theatrics." "No theatrics," I said calmly, holding up an envelope. "Just paperwork." She eyed it warily. "What is that?" "A formal notice. I'm the new owner of this house. You and Dad have 30 days to move out." Her face drained of color, like a switch flipped inside her. "You're kidding." I handed her the envelope. "Nope. Bought it outright. Paid off the back payments, too." "You're welcome." That's when my dad appeared in the doorway, his voice sharp. "What's this nonsense?" "It's your clean exit," I replied coolly. "You leave without a fuss, or I file trespassing charges." "Oh, and Duchess," I added. "She'll need a new place to pose." My mother's voice cracked as she tried to hold her composure. "This is heartless. After all we've done for you." I cut her off before she could twist the story. "Done for me? You mean forcing me into a freezing garage while Amanda's dog lived like royalty? You mean treating me like I didn't matter?" I held her gaze. "You called me a failure. A burden." I stepped back from the doorway. "Now I'm your landlord." Just then, Amanda burst into the hall, clutching Duchess like a designer purse, her face twisted with confusion and disbelief. "And me?" I turned and walked away, finally free. "You're destroying everything," my mother snapped. I met her gaze, steady and calm. "No," I said quietly. "You already did that. I'm just sweeping up what's left." The days that followed were a storm. Panic, pleading, empty threats. They tried guilt like it was their last weapon. They told relatives I was heartless, that I'd thrown them out with nowhere to go. But I stayed silent. Let the documents speak for me. When they called the realtor to complain, she simply replied, "He's the rightful owner. You signed the deal." There was nothing left to argue. On day 29, they moved out. No farewell, no apology, just a heavy, bitter silence and the sound of pride cracking. I didn't stay in that house. Didn't want to. Too many memories clung to the walls. Quiet sobs, freezing nights. The sound of laughter above my head, while I disappeared into blankets below. I sold it a few months later, at a good profit. Used the proceeds to buy my first commercial space, where my startup now hums with 15 full-time staff. Sometimes, Amanda's old friends send messages on LinkedIn. "Caught your Forbes interview, wow." As for my parents, they live in a small apartment 2 towns away. My mom still tells people I got lucky. But luck didn't insulate me when the garage dipped below freezing. Luck didn't fuel the late nights, the self-teaching, the hustle. That was grit, resilience, and a refusal to stay small. Poetic justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it knocks politely and hands you the title deed. Over a year has passed. I never visited the house again. But some nights, the memories come back, like ghosts with familiar footsteps. I remember lying on that cot in the garage, heater coughing beside me, my hoodie pulled tight, while upstairs they clinked glasses. And Amanda's dog barked over pop music. I learned to cry quietly. Crying, to them, meant failure. But I wasn't failing. I was transforming, becoming something they never saw coming. Unbreakable. One day, a journalist I'd met through work asked about the story, not just the business, but the rise from the garage. At first, I hesitated. I didn't want to turn my pain into content. But then I thought, someone out there might need to hear this. That it's okay to be left behind. That you can still build something extraordinary. The article was titled, From Garage to CEO, How Rejection Built a Brand. It exploded online. Then came the podcast invites, TV interviews, even a book deal. And yes, a photo shoot for Forbes 30 Under 30. The full circle moment? A book signing downtown. And there they were. My mother, my father, Amanda, standing in line. Amanda wasn't holding Duchess anymore. She was holding my book. My mom stepped forward first, tears in her eyes that didn't feel real. "We're proud of you, sweetheart." I met her eyes. Strange. I was always the disappointment. Her lip quivered. We were confused. We didn't know what we were doing. "No," I said. "You knew. You just didn't care about the cost." They handed me the book. "Will you sign it?" I slid it back across the table. "You'll have to buy that, full price, just like everyone else." And then I turned to the next reader, a quiet young woman who whispered, "Your story helped me believe in myself." That's what I took with me that night. Not their regret, not their forced affection, but her words, the proof that I had turned frozen nights into fire, dismissals into drive, and silence into something powerful. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes, it looks like them waiting in line, just to hear you say your own name.